Hello, everyone. For a minute here, we'll just kind of let people catch up a bit. Get some people joining in. I can see that there's some numbers popping up here. Welcome to the 7th episode, I do believe, of Studio Visits with Bill. Who would have thought it'd go this far? Anyway, I really thank you all for checking up and coming to watch it and watching it on YouTube and giving me such nice comments and giving the artists that I've had on such nice comments. It's really been cool, and I really enjoy doing this. So before I get on to tonight's guest, I'd like to just, like I say, thank you for this and thank you for watching, but also tell you that tonight is my first broadcast on the new fiber optic service that I have here at the studio, which is great. I thought that 2 weeks ago when I had Lori Verba on that I was there, but I hadn't fine-tuned it well enough, and I only knew enough to be dangerous at that point. It had just been hooked up that day. But right now, I should be coming to you loud and clear. I'd like to apologize for my pixelization on that one. I'm glad that Lori came through so well, and thanks again to Lori and to all previous guests. We had a blast 2 weeks ago. Took last week off because of the holiday, and but this week, I've got one more thing to get to, is that, you know, I had mentioned a few weeks ago on one of the shows here about photo stock and talking about photo stock and it being canceled and things. And what I did was I came up with an idea to have everybody be part of a show, an online show. So what I'm going to be doing, and what I've already done, is we collected up almost 70 artists, which is fantastic. All people that have had something to do with photo stock or past presenters or past keynote speakers, that kind of thing. And we've put together, or I've put together, a really nice movie that I'm loving now. It's about 30 minutes long, and I'll be releasing it either later tonight or tomorrow, putting some finishing touches on it now. But it's fantastic. Like I say, there's about 70 artists with 2 to 3 photographs each, and it's really going to be nice. And anyway, with that, watch for that, please, and watch for it on my Facebook. I'll be making an announcement of that happening as well. And again, tonight's show, as long as everything downloads correctly, will be repurposed over onto YouTube so that people that haven't been able to see it will be able to see it over on YouTube. And I hope to get that up later tonight now that I have this cool, fast internet connection. We'll see. Anyway, to get on to tonight's guest, I'm really, really, really honored to have her on. Holly's a great person, a great artist, and she's really needs no introduction, but she's been on the art scene for quite a long time now. Her work is fantastic. It's photographic based, I could say, but it's mostly mixed media and painting, and I'm not sure that Holly would call herself a photographer, but she gets put into that classification. She's very wonderful person to add to that. She's come up here to the Photostock workshop and taught in this very room before there was drywall, while it was still pretty much sticks and a cement floor. But she ran a fantastic week-long workshop in here that people still rave about, that were in that class, and people will talk about how it changed their lives and things. And I think that Holly's done that for a lot of people. She teaches at a lot of different workshop facilities. She teaches at Anderson Ranch. She's at the Penland. She does very long, intensive 6-week workshops at some points, and those are the best ones. She's very serious about her teaching, and one of the only people I know that won't allow music in the class. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but anyway. And I've got one of Holly's books here. She's got some fantastic books out as well, and this one's on the Nazraeli label, and it's just a wonderful book. Her work's from 2000 to 2009. It's got a lot of her work in it. And anyway, what I'm going to do is stop talking about Holly, and I'm going to look and see if she's actually here. I really do hope so. And, oh, hello, everyone. Bear with me here. This is one of the things that isn't quite as smooth as I would like. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing Holly in here. Ah, there she is. So, without further ado, hopefully, here's Holly Roberts. This is always a real crapshoot. Hey, there you are. It works.
Yay.
Every week I go through this where I think, uh-oh, I'm going to have to do this on my own somehow. So.
And it has made me very nervous because I'm just a total IT idiot. But I live
No,
in
You did great. You know, you've done really good. And yesterday when we did our little test, if anybody saw that, it went really well, and I was very pleased about that. But we had a little bit of a hiccup at the beginning, and it didn't work, and we had to make calls back and forth. But anyway, here you are, and enough of that stuff. So how is it out there today?
Well, it's not as hot. We actually had about 6 drops of rain, so that was exciting. The other day it was 108 downtown.
Oh, now you live in Santa Fe, right? Or
No,
are you
outside of Albuquerque. We live
outside of Albuquerque? Okay.
Dallas. It's a little, it used to be a farming community. Now it's kind of a bedroom community. But we're in a hot spell, and we're in a drought, and so you just kind of live with that. But it's okay. You know, it's New Mexico, so get out early, and it's beautiful, and 70 degrees and no humidity. So we're surviving. But
Yeah, now see, the no humidity thing sounds good to a Michigan boy, especially,
yeah, zero humidity. I mean, you spit, it dries in the air.
But I always see those T-shirts that say, but it's the dry heat kind of a thing, and it's a skeleton walking along. Because I mean, I do have to say that it's hot. When it's hot like that, it's hot. Doesn't matter humidity or not. You can, when you feel your skin stinging. But see, you're used to this. You go out jogging it.
It's all wrinkly and dried up, and you kind of skeleton.
Yeah. See, nice smooth skin I get up here in Michigan. It's the great way to go. So
Yeah.
anyway, so it's great to have you here. I really am honored by you coming on and doing this. You've been really kind over the past as kind of a, really not coming up here and teaching that workshop. That was fantastic. We had a great time. And then doing this, and also writing a nice letter for me at one point where I didn't really follow through, but it was really nice of you to do that.
It was a letter.
It was a good, well, I don't know, but they let me in. That was the thing. I just didn't follow through. But
I think I was suggesting that instead of taking you as a student, they take you on to run the whole facility.
Well, that would have been nice. That might have changed things, but I don't know. I kind of wish I would have done it, but here we are. Moved in this direction, and what's an MFA going to do me at 60 years old? So anyway.
Yeah, and you just are so amazing in what you do. And
no. Anyway.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you, and let's talk
Okay.
about your work.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, yesterday you did say to me that you were working in oil again, which was interesting to me because you've been mostly doing acrylic for a long time now, right?
Yeah. So my sordid past is that about in the 1990, 1980, no, actually early 80s, I started taking oil paint and heavily overpainting black and white photographs. And I did that until 2004. And then I took a sabbatical. And when I started up again, I reversed the process. I took acrylic paint, made a painting, and then put collage elements on top of it. Still my photographs. So in the last, 2 months, maybe a month and a half, I just back to oils. And I'm building a collage and then painting on top of the collage. So it's kind of a hybrid of both worlds. And it's like, oh shit, what am I doing? Once you get good at something, then why do that?
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that we all kind of become prisoners of ourselves after a while, and it's fun to do. And this is what I'm interested in talking to different artists that I've been talking to throughout this series, is that we've had this unique experience happening to us where we have all the time in the world, and a lot of people are doing what you're doing, looking at their work again and looking at what they do and challenging themselves again and challenging themselves further. And
well, Bill, it was kind of the opposite for me. When COVID hit, I just was so discouraged. My husband and I had a show open up in Tucson on the 18th of March. So a day later, it shut down. We had another show at the University Hospital. It shut down. I had a show in Richmond, Virginia at Candela that never went. And I just kind of felt like, why bother, because it's just this whole thing. And so I just kind of, for a month and a half, 2 months, I just kind of stewed and didn't do anything and felt funky and bad. And why are we doing this anyway? And what does it matter? And people can't pay their rent, and we're worried about, making art. And then I just picked up some oil paints and started playing with the oils. And it's like the little door kind of flipped open, and I found again that, okay, I can do this. I'm back in the saddle, suffering away.
Well, and I think that that's kind of been a common experience with this as well. I said that we've been using this time. We haven't been using all of this time because I too feel like I wasted a couple of months just fretting and watching the television. And
4 hours on my iPad reading.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I mean, as you know, and we won't talk about that much, but it's been financially devastating for a lot of us because, by this time of the year, I mean, can you believe it? We're already halfway through the year. And, I feel like I'm back in high school again, but yeah, but I understand that a lot of people have gone through that, but I think that we're breaking through because the thing that I've felt, which is really, I mean, with all that's been going on and all the stuff with George Floyd and all of the stuff with just everything. I mean, it's amazing how much has been compressed into a short amount of time. And it's really our job to kind of be working right now. And I was feeling guilty not doing things. So I don't know. It's really good to hear that you're getting back into something like that.
Well, and I think you have to overcome the saying of, because I'm feeling like with this whole Black Lives Matter, I'm feeling like here I am, a white woman. I have one black student I adored, and that's about it. And I'm not connected in that way. I don't know what to say or do, and at some point you just have to say, well, you know what, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to be a good person, and I'm going to do what I do.
And that's what it's all about right now, is all of us just being good people and getting through. And we're not going to get through if we don't. So
we're kind of the canaries in the coal mine in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting time of life, that's for sure. I mean, the more people I talk, I've been having these kind of conversations with other friends as well. And, it's such a bizarre common experience. You could never have imagined this. So I don't know, I mean, I really hope that we come out the other side of it at some point,
Well, we will. I mean, of course we will. But when you're in it, you're in the current, it's going fast. You see a big pothole coming up. You don't know how to get your kayak around.
Right. Right.
Shit.
And we're all human and we've all got, our worries, but anyway, so have you been able to, another thing that people might not know is you do a really cool blog. And I'm always happy when you add new things to your blog. And what you do is, I kind of got some inspiration from that in my photographs, like going back into work that I've had and telling the story that went around it. Mm-hmm. And that's what you do with paintings of the past. And it's fantastic. I love when it comes out. It's very comforting to read. And, so have you been able to keep up with that?
Absolutely. In fact, I had a blog I did maybe 2 or 3 times ago, and it was about COVID, and it was about the experience of what it's done and so forth and so on. It's called Man Jumping from a Roof. And it was interesting because one of the things I said was it's become political. And I said, it's all around masks. And I said, Democrats wear masks, Republicans not so much. And this woman responded, she called me a bigot. And she said, what is your source? And I went to find the source. And of course, it was all over. 75% of Democrats, 50% of Republicans wear masks. Yeah. And when I give her she unfollowed me, but it was like, what the hell? This is just a simple, I felt like it was common knowledge. And for her to call me a bigot, it was wild.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's very testy right now, that's for sure. And but the thing is, our job is not to shy away from it and not say things about it, and I know that it annoys some people, but like I was saying earlier, it doesn't really break down to politics or good or bad. It just breaks down to kind of being a good civic human being. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that, like, if we're all going to live together, we're going to have to, start getting along a little bit, and the weirdness of this mask becoming the Mason-Dixon line is a really strange thing.
No, I mean, who'd have thunk it? It's like when the toilet paper you can get.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact of the matter is in other countries, it's a sign of respect. It's a sign of respect for the other person that you're taking care of your own germs, but not so much here. And anyway, I kind of, it's interesting. I don't want to get politics about this, but it's nice to see what's been happening. I mean, here a mandate came down, and there's maybe people watching this that don't agree with that, but it came down that you're supposed to be wearing that. You know what I mean? It's not really. It's kind of common knowledge and common sense right now, but we just need to get out of this. That's all there is to it.
Well, on the other side, our governor, who's been great, Michelle Grisham, she has stated that we wear masks when we exercise, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it when I'm riding my bike. I'm not going to.
You just can't. Yeah. Well,
now mostly people are not wearing masks when they exercise, but I'll go by somebody with a mask on, and one woman put her hand out like, doing on me as I zoom by on my bike. I've become the Republican.
Yeah, well, the extreme goes both ways. And, I mean, I live up here. Well, you know where I live. You've been here. And we're in the middle of nowhere, so you don't come within 6 feet of a person very often. So
Because they're people, yeah.
yeah, you know, and I'm very conscious of this, and I'm very careful about it. And you know, a lot of people are. That's fine. And I try not to go into town. You know, it's just a small town, but it's crazy. It's a tourist area, and there's people from Texas and Florida. I don't know, you know, but so far so good. You know, we're in phase 5, and we're able to do things. And I have a couple of people coming for a workshop this weekend that it'll be an outdoor thing doing wet plate. And it'll be very easy to pull off with masks and stuff. But that'll be my first contact with people outside of kind of everybody around here. So
it's crazy. And, you know, a big part of my life is teaching. I just love teaching.
I know. And that's,
wonderful connection. That's how those are the people in my world. I love my students. And I can't teach. I mean, that's my whole year's been canceled. And again, it's sort of like, wait, where's my humanity? You know, how am I going to...
Well, and I bet you're just itching to get back to that, you know. I mean, you know, I've seen you in action. You know, I mean, for those that don't know, I've always loved your work. And then I was in a show with you, you know, God, nearly 20 years ago now. And, you know, I actually walked home with one of your pieces that I still proudly display on the wall in the living room. But yeah, you know, so it's been a long time. And then, but then getting to know you as a teacher when you were here, you know, I've not seen a whole lot of, I mean, you know, there's workshop people that just kind of, you know, they go through their motions, you know. I mean, there's not a lot of them, but they just kind of go through the motions. And everyone for you seems to be this challenge. Like I said, you wouldn't allow music, which nobody ever does that. And I
know. And I
get
a lot.
Some serious shit.
Yeah. What do you mean? But people can listen to music, but they have to put it in their earphones.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's very distracting, and I agree. You know, and I think it was a 4 or 5 day thing that you did here.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, it was quite a thing to watch people transform and, you know, come to life with their work. And, you know, I mean, and I kind of thought that everybody was going to be looking like Holly, but no, they didn't at all. You know, I mean, you can take the methods of what you do and you just become what you are. And so I bet you're dying to get back to it. I mean, is there anything in the near future that's
Photography Workshops has me scheduled for December. But again, we just have no idea. Everything is going backwards. And New Mexico was about ready to open phase 2. And now the governor is pissed at us. And she's saying, nope, you guys are bad. And you just did it, you know. So who knows what's going to go with that. And Santa Fe Workshops, it's a small room. It's inside December. So we'll see whether it's a go or not. But I'm not holding my breath for it. And this fall, I was going to be at Anderson for 2 weeks, and that got canceled.
So that has been canceled already?
Yeah, it definitely was canceled.
Okay.
And they were talking about doing it. I think it was maybe one of the first, you know, workshops that were live. But I think they just decided nah. But especially as everything started ramping up again.
Yeah.
And everything went south.
Well, yeah, we were, you know, I was going to be assisting Carrick on a workshop at Yosemite back in, you know, March or April when this all began, and, you know, foolishly thought, well, hey, we shut down for a couple of weeks, we'll be able to do this. And
big deal. Yeah.
And then it was rescheduled for November, and so I was going to go out there for that. And, you know, I was even thinking I'm going to make a cross-country drive because I'm just itching to do anything, you know. But unfortunately, the plug got pulled on that the other day. So, you know, I don't know. You know, I mean, we gotta take care of it as a whole. You know, I mean, this whole idea of different places going crazy is not going to work. You know, we're all going to have to get in this together and pull it together. And so I'm hoping that somebody, you know, steps up to the plate and gets everybody on the same page somehow. But
well, it's like we all would have had these parallel lives if it were not for COVID. You know, right now you'd be so-and-so and I'd be in Lake Tahoe for a swim with my husband. And, you know, I mean, I look at the calendar and each month it's like just cross up. My daughter was going to teach at Anderson Ranch. That got canceled.
Wow.
I mean, big stuff that people are just there. Those lives aren't going to be lived.
It's endless. You know, just think of the kids, you know, that are not graduating the way that they should. And, you know, I mean, I think that living here, we have kind of a little bit of a false sense of the way things are because we are able to live relatively freely because there's so few of us and, you know, people are taking general care. But, you know, with the influx of tourism, like I said, and the uptick in positives, you know, I mean, there's more here than there has been through this whole thing, which is kind of scary, you know. And we had it together, but now we don't have it together. And that's kind of how it is everywhere. So if we can all just get it together, 3 months from now, maybe we'll be all on the same page and be able to work this out.
But I think, again, as artists, it's what I was saying, as being canaries in the coal mine, we're the most sensitive people in the society. We're feeling things the most. We're the most,
Yeah.
again, I'm just doing a gross generalization, but.
Well, no, but you've been through this a long time, like I have, and that you always feel things coming before they happen to other people.
Yeah.
And I've become very wary of that. And this just feels like, yikes, it's not even gonna, but I'd like to be a little bit more positive about it.
Yeah.
So just back to your work. I mean, you say you're working with oils and things, and you're working with collage. So you're still kind of working in similar ways, because the last time we had talked, you were getting away more from the photographic aspect of it. I mean, that was having a smaller and a smaller part of your work.
Yeah, I think what it is I go back and forth but the photos kind of always in there somewhere. And sometimes I'll make these beautiful abstract paintings, and I'll think, Holly, just do an abstract painting, but they're not the quality of those really good abstract painters. I mean, they're nice paintings, but then it's, so what? And so I think there's always this glue that pulls me, this story that I want to tell, this little hook I get into. But I've done computer images, where I learned Photoshop better. I've did these hair paintings where I would photograph hair. I make shapes, and they're that great, but I try.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So all these little side.
It's fun watching you work, because I mean, I'm sorry I don't comment a lot on things like people do these days, but I watch like a hawk everybody's stuff that they're doing, and the things that you do are great, because it's hard to do what we do and to come up with something different.
Right.
And the fact that you've already done something way different. It's hard to do something way different, but yet you pull it off. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is I have. Go ahead.
No, it's just, and I can see behind you all of your work. You're one of those artists that really are a true artist. And it's like, it's hard to do this. I mean, most people don't know that you have to get up and you have to do this just like a job. And you were telling me, well, I get up to the studio about this time, and I look behind you, and I remember when I was building this place and you were looking at it, pictures, thinking, it's too clean, you got to do something in there. Well, you should see it. If I turn the camera around now, it's a mess. But I agree. You got to work all the time, and you got to be throwing things in next to each other, and you've got to be like, I mean, that's part of the creative process. That becomes part of what you're actually doing new work from. So
yeah, and it's interesting too, because in my studio, I've had it for like 20 some years. I have everything you could imagine and more. I go to the thrift store and I buy weird stuff. And I've been doing these paint peels where you take paint, latex acrylic paint, you pour it out onto plastic, and then you let it dry and you peel it back. And so it works like a photograph. I mean, it's not a photograph, but it gives me another kind of information. And it's beautiful. They're just beautiful. One side does one thing, the other side does the other.
Yeah.
And you're walking around holding this paint thing and doing stuff with it. It's like there's always some kind of thing, a road that might take you off on a side trip, or you might come, might be your main thing you do for the next 10 years,
Exactly. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't do, is that they don't take that initiative to just play. I mean, like, I tended to be one of those kids that didn't like to get my fingers dirty when I was finger painting. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's terrible.
But, once I start doing it, then I'm cool. Like, if there's mud and I start to roll in the mud, then I'm all in, But it's that little extra kick that you need. And that's what most people don't do. They think, well, I do that on the weekend, or I'll do that, next month, or I'll do that on a 2-week retreat this summer. But it's like, that's not the way it works, I mean, you can do things and make nice things, but as far as like really attacking this, you have to do. I mean, I look at what's behind you right now, and I mean, it's fantastic.
And that's just a tiny little.
I know.
There's a whole other wall on the other side of the thing, but it's interesting because I have this incredible depth of very esoteric knowledge. How to transfer from a piece of contact paper, and it's all little subtle. You rub this and you do that, and it's so specific and so narrow, and yet it's really deep.
It's really deep.
And that's why I feel like teaching is so great, because not only do I pass stuff on, but then in class we figure things out. We have students who come up with with other ways to do things and try stuff out.
And that's the thing that I was mentioning before, is that like you know, that's what I love, is like going to a workshop or seeing a workshop happen here that doesn't make people into a bunch of clones of the person that's teaching them that thing.
Yeah.
And you know, wow, with yours, it's amazing, because I'm glad that we did yours when we did, because it wasn't finished in here, and there was like, it was just like everything was everywhere.
Yeah.
I think that I'm still probably finding little pieces of magazine clippings and things.
Paint and shit like
Yeah, and stuff like that. Yeah, there's still some spots. I still have I kept them, all of the cardboard that people were working on, because each one of themselves is kind of a work of art, you know?
And that's another thing I'll do, is I'll paint over something, and then I'll use what I painted over as the foundation for the next painting.
For something else. That's great.
You just never know. And I learned that from a student. She would paint, and then she'd take the paint and she'd wipe it onto another panel, and it was much more beautiful than the painting she was painting. And I thought, oh, that's the way you do it. You know, it's not what you intend, it's what you don't intend.
It's what you don't intend.
Yeah.
But I'm a firm believer in the fact that you do actually intend that in some part of you, you know, because I don't know, in looking back over work of mine and other people, you know, there's always that common river that runs through everything. You know, there's that common thread that's there. And even though you do bring all of these crazy things into it, it's always still that same kind of thread that's going in there. And I mean, well, like your stuff, like with the hair and with everything else, it's so obviously you without you mimicking yourself, is what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that are common. Paint, I love the use of paint. And then that's making that story, you know, and I don't know what the story is when I start. It just kind of unfolds as it happens. I just did a piece yesterday. It's called Two Rabbits Fighting. And it's really about what we're talking about, how tense people are with each other.
Yeah.
You know, being called a bigot. And somebody else called me a racist the other day. I have no idea why. It was just a guy. He wasn't black. He wasn't Hispanic. He called me a racist.
Well, they probably, you know, I mean, they're just trying to hurt you with their words, and that's the best word they can come up with at the time, perhaps.
But it's this painting, is these two rabbits are going at each other. You know, they're fighting each other. When you think of rabbits, you don't think of them being aggressive, mean animals like bears or dogs or whatever. So it's, you know, it's all floating, coming through, and so I think that's kind of my first COVID painting in a way. You know, where I'm really responding to this weird negative energy that's going on.
Well, and that's really, you know, I mean, it's cool that we're all catching up. I mean, I don't know how to do that at this point, you know what I mean? It's one of the things that I'm feeling a great, you know, because I'm a photographer. I like to be out in the world, and I like to see things, and I like to observe things happening, and I'm not able to observe them. You know, I'm sitting here in the woods, and it's beautiful, and I'm not complaining.
Right.
But I'm feeling like I'm missing a whole lot of stuff right now. You know, Minneapolis is just a few hundred miles away, and like the world started changing over there, you know, and yeah, I mean, there's got to be a way to come out with it. And I guess what I'm getting at is the type of work that you do allows for that, you know, a lot more than a lot of photographers are kind of constrained to this thing. And we have to work really hard to you know, to make our expression with it, rather than doing what you do, is just clipping everything up and just throwing, you know, I mean, the narrative in your work, you know, I mean, when that became kind of the buzzword in work, you know, back whenever it did, you know, you were there so much longer ago with a lot of other people where you were telling these stories, but I don't think people perceive them in that way. But that's the thing, is it's a lot different than looking at a beautiful picture of a pine tree. You know, I look at a Holly Roberts thing, and there's a whole story in there, you know, I mean, it's a different story every time I look at it, really. So.
And you know, you addressed the issue of at the beginning of whether I am a photographer or not.
Right.
And I'm always impressed at how poor my skills are. I mean, I have lots of cameras. I have printers. I have a, you know, a big Epson not 3880, but the new one, the piece, whatever.
Yeah.
And I have 2 monitors, and it's like I'm a sham. You know, it's like I have all the pretense. But then I'll take these pictures that are out of focus, and I'll forget that I've left the wrong ASA and everything's whatever. But then at the end of the day, it has never mattered. It's like,
no,
because I'm doing, but I always feel a little guilty when, like your stuff, you know, this beautiful, beautiful prints and images, and there I am with these.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing, is that when you look at the other side, the grass is always greener, and that's how I always look at other people. Like I always felt like there was no narrative, or there was no story in the work that I was doing, until I really started to look at it a different way. And I realized that, yeah, in the scope of a whole career, which is what I've had this time in this 3 months to do, is go through every negative I've ever shot.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's kind of baffling and mind-blowing how there really is that one theme
Yeah.
that happens throughout it all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, and it doesn't matter how good it is. It doesn't matter how beautiful the print is. It doesn't matter, you know, I mean, that's, you know, I mean, that's just one thing to hang your hat on this whole thing. But the thing is that, you know, look at now what's happening through Instagram and people with their iPhones. They don't know anything about photography, but look at what they're doing, you know?
Yeah. Well,
So,
I learned to edit videos, and I've done a couple. I posted them on Instagram.
I saw the one. Yeah, that was good.
I mean, it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
like I learned to, I mean, what I did was I went into my iPad, and they have a YouTube on how to use the Apple video editing for kids.
Yeah.
So it's real simple.
Yeah.
So I had to watch it like 15 times, and then I finally got it.
It's a
And so
blast.
it's you know, it's really fun. And just be able to take those little clips and put them together and do this and that, you know. And so it's like, and again, I did that when I was most shut down with COVID, when I wasn't doing anything at all, that's when I learned to do the video editing stuff.
Well, it's really cool to do those different things, and you know now it's at our fingertips. You know, we all have a Mac and we all have our iPhone, and you know, I mean, I've got iMovie on my iPhone. I can throw these things together, and I love doing it. You know, I mean, the drone kind of got me into it, and I do these trips, and I love to do these photographs of these movies of the trips. It's just a fun thing. You know, I guess the closet in me would really like to make a movie. That would be cool to do, but it's like this whole other outlet. But then, you know, here we are thinking, well, we've got this at our fingertips. But I go to New York, and I most recently, when I was actually to go out in the world, was in New York, and I saw this Dwayne Michaels show. And there's all this video work that Dwayne Michaels has been doing, and he's been doing it for years, and everybody's been kind of in this for years. It's just that the art world kind of caught up with it. It's just that people have been using this as a form of expression. So it validates it a little bit more for me, and it makes me feel like, you know, yeah, I'll screw around with YouTube. What the hell, you know? I mean, this is a blast, right? I mean, we're having a blast.
Anything on YouTube, anything.
Yeah.
I mean, just phenomenal. Because I've been riding horses lately, and I'm on there. How do you do a half halt? How do you? I mean, it's just crazy. My YouTubing and you know, finding it and going with it and so forth. So.
And yeah, it's fun. And starting up this YouTube channel has been a lot of fun. And you get into the analytics of it, and you realize, hey, this is kind of a cool tool. You know, not only is it a tool for your expression, it's a tool to kind of keep in touch with your following, and it's a tool to kind of find new ways to find new following and new things. And it's a cool way to just do what we're doing in your studio, you know, throwing shit all out on the table and mixing and mashing it all up and doing stuff with it.
And there's a lot of shit I throw out on my table. There's a lot.
Yeah. And that's what we're doing video wise too. So I'll have to look at more of the stuff that you're doing in that way. You know?
They're like a minute, 2 minutes long, and I felt like I just remade the earth. I felt like God.
Yeah.
I mean, these are tiny little videos. That one was my husband miscut his hair.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, and then I did another one of my mom. It was just clips that I put together, and they're fun. I mean,
they are really fun, and they're like a slice of life, and they're you know, I noticed this Alex Soth. I don't know if you know his work, but he was doing these little video vignettes a while ago, and at first they made no sense to me, but then after a while they make total sense. Like everything makes, you know, sense. And then I was at in Toronto at the museum in Toronto, and there was this video presentation by this guy with drone work, but it was just incredible. And you know, you start to look at things differently. You know, you start to realize that there's so many other things that we can do, and so many other ways that we can express what we want to do. And
well,
anyway.
It's almost like it's too much. It's almost like it's so open-ended that, like with this video stuff, I just have been taking our old VCRs that were put onto DVDs, and now I'm putting them onto my computer.
Yeah.
And looking at them, and they're 30 years old, and they are wonderful. But I'm thinking, I can't edit this. These are 2 hours, you know, but it could be my life's work, really, if I decided to do that.
And also think of the amount of still work that you can pull out of that now that you can digitize that and put it up on a screen and print it out if you want to.
Well, the only thing is they are so bad. You know, they're so funny, and the light's bad. And I did some screenshots, and they were just terrible. But
oh, okay.
And this is like our daughters being little girls, and and crawling around on the floor and sticking things in their eye, you know. And,
oh, that kind of stuff is yeah, I'm scared to look at that because the time flies so fast. You know what I mean? You know, as you all know,
yeah.
but you know, so, you know, I'm interested to look at more of the video thing because I saw the thing about, you told me about yesterday, you told me about him cutting a little too close to it. And then, so I went to look for the video and it's really cool. It's very well done.
And you saw 3 of them because I couldn't, because it's only a minute. And my daughter showed me how to do the live. I mean, it's still like this stuff just confounds me, you know?
Well, look, now you know how to do live, so you can start doing your, you know, you can start doing the weekly Holly show, you know?
Exactly. That's what people want.
Well, I'll just have fun doing this. I don't know.
You know, we're talking about teaching virtually, you know, online.
Yeah.
And I really thought about it, and I did some test videos, and, you know, I did some demos. And again, I have this base of knowledge. It's so deep, but it wasn't fun. It wasn't, I couldn't stream people. I couldn't, because when I work with people, I think I channel them, and I kind of take their psyche into me, and then I put it back out.
Oh, that's totally true. I've seen it happen right here. You know, I know what you do. Yeah.
Well, I could do it, and I could teach people how to do a transfer and this and that, but what pleasure is that? And for them, it's probably okay, but for me, it just seemed like it would not. I wouldn't have the joy and the pleasure I get. So,
you know, I mean, we'll see how far this goes, but you know, the thing is that that's your perspective of it too. But I bet you that a potential student would really enjoy just spending that time with you. You know, I mean, I know you watched the Jill Enfield one that we had done, and after that she did one with another friend of mine, Rebecca. She did a one-on-one, and they ended up having a blast as far as I could tell. And so it was like fun watching it happen. But yeah, and I think it's just having that attention and doing what you're doing is you know, there is that element of having to be a cinematographer at the same time and wanting everything to be so, you know. I mean, Dan Burkholder has been doing these, and Dan, you know, Dan is such a tech whiz, you know.
Oh, Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you know.
I've got to take one of his workshops just to find out what he does and how he does this, because I know that you can have an alternate camera and things, and knowing Dan, he's making full use of everything that happens.
He's such a wonderful person. He's so fun. He's so generous. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a hoot, you know. And I don't want people to think that this show is only going to be about people that I've had here teaching a workshop, but I love all you guys. You know, you come up here and it becomes this whole other thing, you know. And as you know, I mean, doing workshops, if it's right and it's done right, it's a life-changing thing, you know.
Exactly. It's this, yeah, you have, when people come together and they give to each other and they open up, oh my God, the stuff that happens, the changes that take place, it's just incredible.
Yeah, and you know, I observe that on these trips that I run. You know, I mean, I've done so many of them now, but you know, I used to have one way of looking at them is it's like you're kind of herding cats, which is a really difficult thing to do. But then if you start to look at it in a certain way and you start to see it through their eyes and you start to enjoy that whole thing every time, you realize that each trip becomes its own dynamic and everybody sees things differently. And if you, like you say, let them channel through you, it's so cool. I mean, you know, why other times would I go to Iceland 40 times? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not the place, it's what happens during it. And
I keep thinking I'm going to get it together and take one of your Iceland trips.
You know, we should just all get together and do one of these. We've been threatening for a long time. A lot of people that have come with me and stuff, like everybody ultimately becomes a friend anyway, you know, and it's like, but I really do like throwing together that thing and making that happen. You don't create anything, you know, you just facilitate it and make it all happen. And that's just such a joy. Like photo stock or any one of your workshops. I mean, I'm sure you see this at Anderson Ranch over 6 weeks or at Penland. I mean, Penland to me is like art is heaven. You know what I mean? Like I would never want to crack the border. It's almost like there should be a force field outside of that place where you can't go into the outside world. And none of the outside world could come in without a super test that was the equivalent of a COVID test, you know?
And then they're feeding you this incredible food.
Exactly. Like, why do you want to go back to life after that, you know?
You want to do that, do dishes and have to cook.
Right. And so you do this as well. And I don't do it as much, but like Dan does and Jill, it's like one of the things that Jill and Dan made the point of is that this is the longest they've been at home in any given amount of time. And,
all the time, yeah.
you know, for me, I have to say for 20 years now, yeah, that's that's true. You know, I mean, I really, you know, I've already missed one trip, and you know, that one's going to be rescheduled, and I've scheduled one out in October. You know, and the world should have its shit together by then, you would think, but you know, who knows? You know.
Yeah, yeah. And Iceland doesn't have any COVID, so they don't want us. You know,
They don't
nobody.
want us. I know. Well, I've been, you know, my friend Magnus we've been working out next October's trip, and he's been saying, well, what about this October? It's like, you know, you guys don't want us right now, you know. And
Yeah.
I don't think he thinks of me as being, you know, from here. Like, I've known him forever, but yeah, we don't. It doesn't feel good, you know. I see friends posting things from Canada, and I see the responses on these things they post, and it's like, oh, geez, I'm not going back to Canada. They don't like us.
Yeah, I guess you can't even get across the border. And I mean, from what I've heard, you have to show that you're going through and not going to stay.
And apparently, a lot of Americans have been sidestepping this, which just pisses me off and pisses off Canadians. I mean, Canadians don't want that. They don't want people trying to pull the wool over their eyes. So, you know, I wouldn't want to feel that way. But
Yeah.
so it goes. You know, I mean, we got to get it. We got to reel in our own extremists. We got to get this thing together so that we can move on and start doing Anderson Ranch again and start doing all these things again, because that's.
I feel like what you're talking about and what you do, it's like your blood, is you make these communities, photo stock, your trips, putting your work.
I love it.
Communities that then grow things. They grow people, they grow experience, they grow life, they're really important. I mean,
you know, I think, thanks for saying that, because this isn't about me, but this thing that you've participated in quite nicely, kindly, in this slideshow that I'm putting together. Oh my gosh, has that been a cathartic experience, seeing all this work coming from people? There's 70 different people, and this isn't even the surface. This is like not everybody, you know what I mean? And, you know, and I'm kind of like in my mind thinking, well, these are kind of like the people that were the presenters, or the people that I invited in, or that I curated in. But the other people, and I don't mean in this any disrespectful way, but everybody's awesome. You know, I mean, it's just incredible work. I thought I was going to put together the slideshow and find out that there's some lesser great stuff, but it is not at all. It's like,
from
there's
your
nothing. Yeah.
Great.
And to think that, you know, I mean, like, that all happened around this community is really pretty, you know, I mean, you know, like you say, you know, you could, you know, I don't really know as an artist what I'm accomplishing, but that's something. And then like, you know, that it does make a difference. It's really fun to see this. And anyway, by the way, this slideshow is going to be awesome. You know, you saw just a little snippet of it. So it goes on forever. It's like 30 some minutes, but it's like totally cool. You know, I mean, everybody that's in it, from you, Dan Burkholder, Andrew Moore, you know, Rebecca Zeiss, Jen Crane, Kara Kuklis, everybody that's in this thing. And then some of the original people, Jerry Bezerbi, and it's just mind boggling to me. So anyway, enough of that stuff. But what I really want is you to come back up here. You know, I mean, it's, you know, I'd like to do something like you've done elsewhere. I don't want to do just something that's 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. You know, I mean, when you did that one here, you were just everybody was just sort of starting to fly, you know. And
I think it was a little tricky because what I do is so different, and your crowd is mostly seriously photo.
Yeah.
And I think we just barely made enough people, but boy, what great people we had. I mean, really.
It ended up being enough people, you know. I mean, it was enough for what we had here at that time, you know. It definitely,
but
you know, there was enough space for everybody to spread out and do their thing. But I would love to get you back here for something more intensive. And obviously not that many people are going to be able to come to something like that. So it doesn't have to be a lot of people, but it just has to be people that want to commit to a few weeks of really digging into it, you know.
You have your space now. When I came, you were still building it.
Yeah.
You were time. I mean, so it's completely changed.
It's all done now. It's ready to go. And I have to clean all my crap out of it to get everybody, you know, back in here again. It's the longest time that nothing socially has gone on in here. So, you know, I got to get that going again. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to have you back for that. That would be really spectacular. I still have some of my favorite photographs are you down around that collapsed house going in there. It's kind of like this Andrew Wyeth photograph, because you had your little point and shoot, and you had this like real curiosity and this childlike thing going on.
And that house was so incredible.
Yeah.
Just meaning like.
Yeah. Well, it's gone a lot farther now, but yeah, that was fun. I just have a really nice recollection of that time, and I can't tell people enough that they should go do something that you do. I mean, I used to be the one that would think that, you know, well, there's not an enlarger and there's not this and there's not that. I can't go to that. It's not for me. But now I really want to do something like that, where I could step outside myself. And, you know, if anybody you're going to hand over your, you know, I liken it to kind of like an acid trip, you would be that person to hold their hand, you know.
Well, I'll take psilocybin and then do some
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, we can. Well, you're in the desert. We could have some peyote and go through that stuff.
Yeah.
But no, I mean that's what it was like. That's what it was like seeing these people do this, you know. And you know, and these are professional people that have professional lives, and watch them play and become kids and get their fingers dirty and see this stain around the floor by them is really, really pretty cool. Yeah. So it would be nice to get you back into that, you know.
I'd love to.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I haven't been reading, you know, I've kind of gotten so involved in our conversation that I haven't been reading anything that's been coming through. People have been saying things, and unfortunately it scrolls by and I don't have my glasses on.
A lot of people like Penland, but I haven't seen any questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think that people more normally get there and they kind of talk amongst themselves while we talk. Maybe that's it, I guess. Yeah. So, you know, have you ever done anything like this at your own studio? Not that you would want to do it right now.
You know, I've had a couple of times I did a mentorship with a few people, and I've worked with people locally, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
I really want that workshop dynamic. I really want the building of people giving to each other. Again, do it and it's fine, but it doesn't give me the whatever that these workshops do.
And that's the thing about Anderson or Penland or anything like that, or what I would had conceived of here, which is difficult to do because of lodging around here, is just to have everybody, you know, you need to be around everybody all the time, you know, and it seems to be, you know, I mean, you might think of that as an imposition, but really you can go back to your room and watch a movie or read a book anytime, you know. How often do you get to be with other like-minded people, sharing these ideas and bouncing things off? And
to get to go in and go from 8 to midnight working, you know, meals are provided and you work till you drop, and you know, and again, I think coming from the top, I think it's like a family. You're giving this family feeling to your people, and then that's what joins them together. That's what makes a good family. Well,
and you're very good at that too. I mean, you know, there's no intimidation in your workshops, that kind of thing, and that's known from right off. I hope you don't mind, but I, like in the beginnings of these videos that I do, you're one of the clips there, and you're just so intense. You know, I did some video of that. I'm so glad that I did, because you had your ponytail at the time and stuff, but you were just like so serious. You know, you can see everybody's just watching so intently, and you know, that actually goes on for 6 weeks. That's hard to imagine. You know,
when I start a workshop, I always say, unless I have someone cry, I don't feel like it's a successful.
Yeah.
And you see people's faces go like, because I'm going to beat the shit out of them.
Yeah, you know, you want them to be crying for the right reason, but no, that's a good scare tactic, you know.
A lot of people have this tremendous emotional release, and when they're working with their hands, all of a sudden they'll find themselves in this emotional, they're safe, they're vulnerable, and they can let go. And that's what I want. You know, that's really, not everybody. I mean, it doesn't happen, but it is a sign that everything's working right.
Well, and I noticed that too on trips and at workshops when everybody's around, and you know, it's not always about the artwork that you're doing. You know, things come out about people's families, and I mean, I've been in places where I'm with other workshop instructors that, you know, I won't even mention, but they've told me things. It's like, oh my God, don't, you know, you don't want to hear that. But the thing is, it happens to all of us in that way. You know, I mean, I think that we feel that way, and in our own lives, in our own families and everything, no matter how much we love people, we don't feel safe to be ourselves.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can be around real close people and be yourself. I mean, childhood friends, you know, I mean, I have one friend that I've known as long as I can remember knowing anybody, and I can be totally myself with that person, but it doesn't happen all that often, you know what I mean? So being able to create this environment where people do that is really a gift, you know, and you do that. So do you organize any of them yourself, or do you pretty much let them go with,
I'm just totally don't want anything to do with it except show up the fairy princess and wave my wand, and then we're done. I don't have to grade, you know, there's no judgment. There's just people working their butts off, and then I dance away, and you know, we're done. And I get a lot of repeat students. So see, you know, further down in their changes and their growth, and just I've formed lifelong friendships with some of my students. I'm sure, like you, I mean, same thing.
Well, and I know that, like, when you were here, even when you were here the year that Elliot was here and Meg was here and people like that, I know that Elliot was driving across country and he came out and visited, and this community grows and it sticks. And
Yeah.
And, you know, almost every person that was in that workshop has come back to me and said, hey, if Holly ever comes back, let me know, including,
Yeah.
you know, Richard Hopewell, who came all the way from Scotland to work with
Right,
you. So,
right.
you know, I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of cool to be that Pied Piper and have people come, you know, I
Oh,
mean, you're, I don't know, I'm just itching to get you back into it, you know, or all of us back into it.
yeah.
What we really should do is just have one big party after all of this and make sure that everybody comes to it, you know, because
And hopefully we won't have to wear masks.
yeah, I know that would be, but even if we have to, you know, I mean, I'm willing to do that because I just miss everybody. And you know, it's fun doing this with you. I realize how much I miss you. When you were here that time, it was really nice. You kind of became
Yeah,
part of the scene really easy. You know, you were glad to be escaping the desert, but it was really,
oh God, yeah, it was so beautiful and cool and wet and all those things we don't have.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know, I'll have to come out that way and do this some point. You know, as you know, this was supposed to be when I originally conceived of it before all this began, it was going to be me coming and visiting people, and it was going to be my excuse to come and hang out for a
Yeah.
day, you know. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened. But I'm still hoping that this will clear out, and I'm going to make my
Well,
cross country trek, and you know,
this is kind of like your blog.
yeah,
know?
yeah, it's fun. Well, you know, I'm trying not to. I know that I end up talking about a lot of stuff that we do here, but you know, it's more about you. But you know, for me, it's friends. You know, I've got to get outside the friend zone where I'm not just talking with friends all the time. So anyway,
But nobody's your friend. My God, you have 5,000 Facebook friends.
yeah, but they're not all friends.
Yes,
It's
they
hard to
are.
eliminate any of them, though. You go through trying to eliminate them, and it's like, oh no, I know that person.
They're all friends. You know, they're all friends.
I know. Well, you're like the same way as me. You travel everywhere, and
Yeah.
you meet people everywhere, but it's hard for me. Like sometimes I'll be someplace and somebody will come up to me and they're starting to talk to me about my kid or whatever. And it's like, yeah, the time we spent together, and I cannot for the life of me think where it happened.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that I don't remember the person. I just don't remember where it happened, you know?
Right.
And so I don't know. I know everything for the last 4 months has been happening right here, and I'd like it to be somewhere else. But
It's just going to get worse.
yeah,
But
it'll be all right.
as you head down the aging road, it's just
Oh yeah, that's already happening big time.
floats away. Yeah.
Now look at you. You know, I kind of have surpassed and caught up and gone way beyond. You know, I mean, I've gotten old since the last time I saw you. I look
You
at
too broke your arm, that terrible accident.
oh, it was my leg. Yeah, that was last year. And then this year, yeah, you know, I mean, I'm just starting to think that maybe this is this is it. You know, just gonna have to make the best of it. So yeah, but no, there's a lot of fun yet to come. And man, this is so cool to talk to you, Holly. I hope that we've been enjoyable to other people and hasn't been just too much.
I have so much fun. I've been trying not to read stuff as we talk because it's so fun to.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, we still got 8 minutes. You know, they cut me off at 1 hour, and that happened to me one time, and it was kind of sad because I lost the whole audience and I had to go back on.
Oh.
But we've had consistently, you know, 25, 30 people here. So I'd like to say a shout out to everyone. And I'm sorry I haven't said any individual hellos because, oh, there's Yvette. Now I'm starting to see people. Hi, Yvette. It's just nice to have this connection with people. I wish that we could all be on in one big Zoom meeting, really, but I don't think that anything would ever get done.
Well, if that happens, it'll be because Bill Schwab makes it happen.
No, Holly, you gotta. Anyway, but see, here you go. You know how to work Instagram Live now. So get down there and do your blog this way. It'd be really cool.
Yeah, we'll see about that. You know, those blogs, they take me quite a while to write. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a writer, and I said, you know, it will take me several hours to go over the one paragraph. And she said, yeah.
Well, yeah, I know. You're a writer. That's it.
You know, and it's like a big deal. But I was just, really isn't really hard. You're just going over it and commas and change it and delete it and you know.
It isn't easy, you know. I mean, I always think that people joke at us, you know, the photography is easy, just point and click, and it's not hard at all. But I know lots of writers and stuff, and it's very difficult and very hard. And you know, to be able to do that constantly is crazy. Like, I'm sure a lot of people look at us and think, why would she go out to the studio every day and play with, you know, pieces of magazines and stuff? But it's what our people do, right? Yeah. I don't know. Well, anyway, well, maybe we should, let's see, what are we at? 6:54 here. I'm seeing people here that I don't know, which is great. Maybe you have some friends that are watching. And
well, I saw my daughter. She scrolled by.
oh, sweet. Hi.
So,
You know, I'm going to, what I'd like you to do is just kind of give me some of your links. I know what some of them are in your blog. And so I'll just like to let people know that Holly's got a lot of stuff to look at online. And if you're not familiar with her work, you really should be. And I'll put some links in the YouTube version of this. I'll put some links down in the bottom in the description so that you'll be able to find Holly, and so you'll be able to find you. So if there's anything that you would particularly like to be seen, let me know in the next, you know, I can change that anytime. I'm probably going to get this up tonight at some point.
Okay.
So anyway, I just hope that people had a good time. I know I had a great time. Thank you so much.
I had a lot of fun.
It was great. It was great.
Okay.
Okay. Well, hey, let's do this again at some point, and hopefully I can come out there and actually do it in that room. I'd love to be in that room.
And you can get all dry and wrinkly like us, so that'll be fun.
I would take it in a minute. I'll quarantine in your backyard for 2 weeks, whatever.
Okay, you and the dogs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like dogs. I get along good with dogs.
Okay.
All
You
right.
still have your shepherd?
I still got the shepherd. Yeah. He just had to have his toe amputated. He had some cancer in his toe, but he's supposed to be okay. But he's actually outside, sitting outside right now, waiting to get in. I'm afraid that he'll come in here and make the show about him. You know,
Yeah.
you've met him, so you know what I mean.
Know him, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Right.
It's so good to see you, Holly. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
So just X out, right?
You just X out. Take care
Okay.
of yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Wow. So that was good. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks to Holly. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to sign out here because I can't really see, and I think I'm coming up on the time. Thank you, everybody that watched. I'm just looking through right now. Thanks. Thanks, you guys. Thanks, Carrick. Thanks, everyone. Okay. Take care of yourselves. Go out and do something fun. Take care. Bye.